real estate investor Gary Garrabrant. He's Sam Zell's top lieutenant for international projects, and Gary is the CEO of Equity International. Always fun to have you here.
Thanks, Betty. My
with
pleasure.
us. Now, something not so fun that I want to talk about first, of course, is Egypt and what has been going on over the last several weeks. You have a lot of investments. You've been there, I think, for 5 years,
yes,
right?
Yes, we have.
So what's been going on since you've seen these events?
Well, not so surprising, I'll say, because Egypt could be characterized as an opportunity delayed, in the sense that when we began our investment 5 years ago with the Sawiris family and a housing company called Orascom Housing Communities.
Right, part of the Orascom
we commenced development of 52,000 homes in the 6th of October district to the west of Cairo. We've delivered 11,000 homes, despite the fact that a full-scale, widely available mortgage program hasn't yet been realized.
Right.
And borrowing from Mexico and what's accomplished in Brazil, Egypt has missed an opportunity, and we're hopeful that the kind of next leadership is able to deliver.
And how much do you know? I mean, I know there's a lot of questions about who are the next leaders, but Gary, I know in your job, one of the first things you do is you go in and you try to make friends with the leadership, and you make friends with the regime. When a regime breaks down like this, what do? You have to start over?
Well, our relationship in Egypt and in other countries is with leaders like Sawiris. And so we're in partnership with the family and very much supportive of them. And rather than focus on any one president, I'll say, and we've met a bunch, we'd rather focus on a more permanent, more permanent.
Okay. And Sawiris is somebody that we've had several times on our network throughout this, as we were watching all these events unfold.
Yes.
Did you talk to him often during this?
Yeah, we're in contact almost daily with our, with the various contact points in the housing business.
Okay. Yeah. How does this then pit Egypt in your portfolio? Does it fall now lower down on the scale because of this political turmoil?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's not much more to do in the country while this unsettled period prevails. Egypt is a significant country for a number of reasons. 80 million people, youthful, aspirational. There is the prospect of a middle class in Egypt, which is what attracted us originally.
But yet those are the very ones who've been uprising.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's going to take a bit. It's going to take a while.
Okay.
I mean, we're also spending time in Saudi Arabia, which is a neighbor of Egypt and looks to Egypt in certain ways. And so I think that there is a ripple effect through the region.
Well, what does this do then to your Middle East portfolio? I mean, I
think we're on hold for the moment.
You are?
Yeah, I think we're on hold for the moment. I think that we're going to watch it and be cautious and do what we can in our existing company.
So on hold versus what? What were you planning on doing?
We're always looking to do more, and we always viewed the housing company as the first of.
Right.
In Mexico, we had 5 businesses. Brazil now 6.
Okay.
China 3. About to get started in Colombia.
Right.
And so for us, having one company in Egypt is not as interesting as 4 or 5.
I see.
And that plan, I'll say, is now longer term.
Is now longer term on hold. And you're going to wait how long before you maybe go back and consider it?
Hard to say.
Okay.
Hard to say. I mean, I don't think who knows at this point. It's a very tense situation, particularly because Egypt is an important country, not just in the Middle East, but across North Africa.
Right.
It is the largest population. It's also politically important for the U.S. and other Western countries, and I think that's why we're seeing such measured commentary.
As I was mentioning at the beginning of our conversation, we talked with Carlos Slim yesterday. He's interested in property here in the U.S., but he's been investing in property since he was a teenager.
Yes.
Probably just like you. And all of that in Mexico. And I know that you've got some investments in Mexico as well. Is it a market that's easy to get into, easy to develop when you have dominant players, local dominant players, perhaps like Slim?
Well, Carlos Slim has been a leader, through the corporate sectors as well as real estate. At one time, we had 5 portfolio companies in Mexico. Still have great enthusiasm for Mexico. Mexico is a country which really turned on and captivated the middle class. Widespread mortgage availability is just one example, and has really created an ownership culture across. And like Brazil, so many people have left poverty in Mexico. And one of the areas where Carlos Slim is invested is retail property. We were as well an investor in that sector. The barriers to entry are relatively high because it's a small world, a small community of leadership in Mexico, as it is in most emerging markets. Slim was a leader in taking companies public. We were on the same side in the real estate sector with Homex.
But it sounds like it's a more mature of these emerging markets,
certainly.
essentially.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, Brazil's probably now 5-6 years behind Mexico in that sense.
And I know that's where you've done a lot of your investments and a lot of the growth there.
Yes.
Carlos Slim was also talking about Colombia as his next big growth market, and he's looking at oil fields there.
Yes.
Property-wise, is Colombia a good bet? Very
interesting. When we were an investor in Venezuela, we actually visited Bogota, vowed that we wouldn't do anything there for a while. Well, a while has passed. Now we're in Bogota looking back at Caracas and saying the same. We are enthused about Colombia, 45 million population, again, youthful, aspirational. Interesting institutional strength in Colombia.
Really?
Strong banks, investment funds.
So are you going to be doing something there in the next 12 months?
Yeah, we're pursuing several opportunities in Colombia. Very exciting.
What are your clients? I know you've got pension fund clients and the people who put money into your funds. Where do they want you to invest? What do they say?
It's an interesting question. We are always talking to partners, foundations, endowments, state retirement plans, and there is, and I'd say the difference over the years we've been doing this. In the early days, no one traveled, and people just didn't have much of a view. Now everyone travels, and they have a view. It makes us better.
It must
frankly.
be annoying. They're all giving you ideas.
Well, I wouldn't admit that, but they also have strong feelings which they will express. Say. In reaction to Colombia, they'll say, "Oh, that's interesting. What are you thinking about there?" No, we're supportive of that.
But is there anything that you have you gotten an idea from a client before in a market that you wouldn't have thought of to look at?
I'd love to say yes. But we haven't.
I know you're a world traveler. I think you've been probably to every country, right? Maybe except for Antarctica, anyway. Gary, good to talk with you. Good to see you.
Great to see you. Thanks for having me.
Gary Garrabrant of Equity International.